I'm done, and hopefully it's done, I guess. You know what? And this turned out better than expected. I really like the way this whole thing turned out. I gotta thank Bobby for that. Thanks, Bobby. I'm gonna have the whole thing just because of one picture.
I know my friends-in-law are just begging to get you over there.
Yeah, we should, if you guys don't mind, you know, one day set up something and get us, maybe all items, you know.
Yeah, time is running out, you know, because Popo is threatening to retire.
Oh, can I retire now?
Every time you work with
No, but it's something that I think I would like to be part of.
Yeah.
To experience that, and we can put out, you know, the streamline throughout the world, that this is what we do, this is who we are, you know. And we want to showcase the most important thing. Yeah.
So Popo, what is happening?
No, I want to mahalo you guys. I love the stipulation of not being able to sell the huli. Yeah. That was one of the biggest problems when Jewish started crossbreeding the Palauans with the Hawaiians, is that people were concerned they were going to monopolize the market with seed control. So mahalo for that. I also think it becomes our kulera now to document. If we go out and we're doing this at our own houses, we got to document everything.
That's right.
Because
If
we
you ever get this to work, you gotta make sure you gotta be like Popo with the records.
Because and as many people as you guys teach, I think you guys need to remind them, hey, document, because otherwise we can create one monster and we're never going to be able to catch up. Who created this one? Where did it come from? Who were the parents?
Documentation. Kind of, but it's like, I kind of like to always keep notes and keep records. And it goes back because I breed cattle, I used to breed chicken, and you gotta always know what came from where. So your documentation is always important, what you put on where. No guesstimate, no more room for that. You gotta know where is what. And you know, a lot of times it was because another one came, just with this pencil and paper, just drawing. You know, like even like when I started, I was drawing on taro flower, plant, into all the pictures now, you know. Hey, I'm sure I do that. It's a good thing, you know. But yeah, it's true. There was also documentation and see where we're going, you know, where we're coming from, and stuff like that.
Is the documentation something you guys can help with as far as creating some kind of system or some kind of worksheet, something like that makes it easy for us who don't have time, who in a few, just run low and help get out of trying to feed people?
And a lot of the stuff for me is visual. So a lot of the things that I learned was just observing, and that's how a lot of the Hawaiian people used to do things. It's just by observing, and that's why they say, "Quiet, shut your mouth, put your eye, listen with your ear. Even if you know how to do, the more than 101 ways to skin one cat. So just listen, just by observing, though. And even with light studies and this and that, my guys do the scientific part of them. I'm out in the field, oh, this bug resistant, oh, this one, nah. You get trained and you get looking, but it's a hands-on thing. And for me, I'm one of those who I learned by hands-on, outside and inside. There's nothing wrong with what we do in the scientific. It helps me to what we're doing on the outside too. So it's the best of both worlds we get it.
Bulletin 84, cattle varieties in Hawaii, that would be number one. Second, you get Facebook.
Yep.
Go to Kalo cultivars of Hawaii and the South Pacific. We have a lot of files there. One of them is the international characterization of taro. And in there it has everything. We're adjusting and then modifying that because we're finding some of our Hawaiian taro's characteristics are not in there. So we're improving on that, but that's the best. It's IGPRI or something. But to go on that Facebook site and go up into files, and we have a whole bunch of information. That way you can just look through. Example is the corn, the eyes. We have multiple eyes, like a lot of our mana have 4 eyes instead of single. The structure of straight parallel eyes coming down, others are whirled. That makes a lot of difference. In Wawa, the Kohina, all the eyes are right around it. So the international is the best we got. Most of the university, as well as international countries that use, is a modification from that. So if you want to get into the characterization, the best one they got available, that would be the international one.
How long could you?
Okay, anybody else? Yeah.
So right now, when you see the lead plate, cut the lead. I only get 250 square feet of column in my house. Well, I just fill up half of the brick and we try to cut a 300 meter, because I'm trying to keep the population of the spores down, so the things just don't wipe out everything. Is that the right thing to do?
That helps, but
That's all you can
it's
do.
impossible to control once it's in the field. But it doesn't hurt to get the, because you can see, if there's a lesion up here, then if there's a leaf below, you can kind of see just the drip line of all the leaves. Yeah, drips down. Jack, got a question first.
Prevention, give enough space, air circulation. When you walk into the fields, they're going to be, if it's damp, rainy, wet, you're walking through PPE on your trench, you cause it more, you spread it more. Cutting the leaves, be really careful because you might stunt the growth. If it's just backyard, they're not too bad. I wouldn't recommend cutting the whole leaf off if there's only a spot on it that is infected. So I go in with scissors, cut it off. Of course, don't throw it on the ground. Bag it, take it out of the field.
Yeah.
Sanitation, and you know what, they're everywhere. Even if you get clean tissue culture, Carol, you plant it in the ground, 9 times out of 10 it's already there, so you'll be infected. Just don't crowd them out, just give them good and healthy. You gotta feed them, you cannot go Vegas for 1 month and expect it to survive. So, thank you.
My question was, does the blight attack that from the top of the leaf or the bottom of the leaf?
Oh, usually the older leaves, well, we see them on the older leaves first. The younger leaves, I guess they.
Well, I'm saying the top surface or the bottom?
Oh, usually on the top.
On top of the surface, okay.
This likes water. So
Yeah.
oftentimes in the pico, because the water can settle in there, you see it. And that's.
Yeah, I mean, when we're ripping
something
off
that
the
separates the.
Yeah.
leaf.
Ripping up the spots, but I wasn't too sanitary about it, so now I gotta go take my plastic bag and cut all the bad stuff and at least that leaf will work, absorbing all the energy and stuff. Well, what I noticed, some of my, Wayo pellet, bugs just hit them and destroys the whole leaf. I got one colony of that, one whole on our, Wayo pellet, and it's just decimated all the leaves, all these stems sticking out. So, I think, yeah, but I'm just gotta be more sanitary. You can't go to Vegas all the time.
Yeah, have you guys tried testing anything that works to kill the actual spores? I mean, have you tried like, does neem oil chili pepper work, does micronized salt, something to combat it? Once it's infected, I mean, obviously you're kind of screwed, but.
Yeah, you can spray Ridamil. Ridamil is a fungicide. You cannot spray it like when the plant's small, because you don't want any residue on the plant when it's harvest time. I forget do you know what the label says about Ridamil?
Yeah, I think right now it's not.
That's not approved for like commercial production, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
How
why.
about Dawn? Some people say spray Dawn on it.
I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
Petroleum paste.
It might work. It might work.
Dawn is petroleum paste.
But the best thing
You like feed gas to your plants.
is probably make sure you got good air circulation.
Yeah.
And the infection's gotta take place on a cloudy day. Up until about 10 o'clock is when the zoospores really get active. So if you can get the sunlight on the leaves and the water off of the leaves,
Oh, yeah.
you generally will have a better chance of not getting the infection.
Yeah, makes sense.
Did you guys take soil samples of wherever you guys took the phytophthora samples from?
I did not. But I don't know if Susan took soil samples for soil. It must have. You guys did soil analysis. For soil analysis, though, just for fertility, yeah.
I'd like somebody to try our Olena and our Noni as a spray for antifungal.
Oh.
I always talk about it, but I never did it.
Is that a
Now we
mix?
can do it. Please try.
With the natural farming side that we use, I've been making some OHMs with the Olena and the chili pepper and some other stuff too. And the phytophthora, I mean, only the EU1 will get whacked, but everything else, I don't know, Kalo not on this genetics list, so I don't know where I stay.
That's a hybrid.
Yeah, because it's a hybrid of what, mono,
Filialo was crossed by Uncle Olu Askron from Moifield, and it was between a Moikea and a Kaikea and a Moi. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks everybody for coming.
You're welcome.
We should do this again.
Yeah.
Well, especially if. No, not really.
Now you can I think he wants to.
Thank you.
Because he's planning to retire.
But I also do some classes on Hawaiians, you know.
Good.
I always kind on that too, just to even get something better than the Hawaiians at times, just like how Jerry said that cross there, you know, they might not agree with you, but not entirely yet. But I just kind of put it on my own stuff at home to just, you know, kind of put different Hawaiians together.
I used to be very against that because, for instance, you get pa'akai and you cross them with pikuli. One is for the salt water, one is for the cold water. And I thought that when that plant come out, it might look like a pa'akai, but it would lose its resistance. You know, I mean, it's like Einstein said, if his wife was Madonna, how beautiful his voice he could sing, yeah? That's what Madonna said. But Einstein said, well, if the baby looked like me, no, look like me and sing like me, that's a problem. But I've since changed my mind. It's always about intention and purpose. Why is it you're breeding? Or because the cow not giving you something? First question is why? Why is the cow not giving you what our ancestors provided? Yeah, we tackle that problem first because, and the reason why I've not look at that anymore is because they do it naturally. The kapuli. So the taro adapts to your environment specifically, and that's where you get the goodies. So you take that oil from Puna and you take it up Kohala. 3 times, Uncle Earl wanted some more, and said, I think the taro telling you know, let go of that hot and windy place. So, yeah, always intention and purpose.
And none of that too is like when we do with Hawaiians is like, I like to develop something where I live myself. So if I do my process, I plant my stuff there, there's born and raised there, and I can see the balance come up. And as for me, you know, this particular area that I live in, like you said, that's why we get so much varieties all over the place.
Yes.
Because Hawaiians, that Vibera, that Upuka Vibera in Kona or whatever, there's someplace else. So that's why we see all that, you know. So it's just a thing. But you know, I find this to be a good session over here. We can talk sorry and just share what we get. And sometimes we don't agree with this or that, but you know, we're gonna kind of like come to terms.
Just bring the owl.
Just take the back. Right there. Thank you, Jerry. I still have my Rakawa, you know.
Actually, we should do that.
You know, but it's just share that one.
Owl ceremony.
Oh, sorry.
Just share what we're doing, and then so that the public know, and then the public, you know, it's not hiding anything but that kind. But right around, we just try to listen there.
Thank you.
That's what preference will do, because it's like, you know, I realized how difficult it was to do this. And a lot of researchers, yeah, they think, oh yeah, I just had this guy for, this boy from Nepal came. And what was amazing with that is that he came from all the way from Nepal. And he was so interested in breeding taro, and this little village in Nepal, he just typed in Popo taro breeder. And my picture came up in one of these sessions we did with this Nahavi students. Yeah. And he came all the way over here to learn this thing to breed taro. And at first, I was like, don't send nobody away here. What we done like this, you know, just not for it. I gotta go through this and that. But you know, I'm glad he came, because he came and I showed him everything and I never hide nothing. But what he did was he would take back that piece of knowledge and he would take them back with him. And I told him, what do you like to do? He said, I like feed the poor. You see, so part of us go back over there with them. You see, so it's not straight. So that's a good thing, you know.
Did the guy from Nepal tell you where he was from in Nepal?
But that,
He did where in Nepal?
so I'm not sure.
Because there's a lowland area of Nepal which depends on taro quite a bit.
And he told me they need a lot of taro, you know, over there. But he said, yeah, our taro don't flower. As I said, you know, most of them, some of them don't, but some do. And but I was interested to see that. He said, oh, we don't make poi, but we pay and that. So I told him, you go back and we go eat poi. It's like something different, you know what I mean? It's like, but you know, we look at the exchange culture, this and that, but they eat a lot of taro, this and that. So, you know, something like this can help them over there. Some varieties that maybe we never like would be something better for them over there. That's
By
what
the
I
time,
said.
by the time he was done, he was saying Bombay. Bombay. It's not as it sounds.
So, and then, you know, you start talking about, oh yeah, I love Lao Lao, you know what I mean? So it's like, they use the leaf in a different way. So he got to learn how we use our stuff. So he take back that and thinks, oh, I can do that, oh yeah, you can do it over there, you know, so it's just different things that they learn from us that we can do that too.
Did you give them the taro recipe book?
I'll share a kind of the recipe with him about, I will even show him how for, this is how you wrap Lao Lao, this and that. He said, we don't put tea leaf. I said, well, you know, for something, but you can improvise over it. I said, you know what, you send one stock back now, you get the ones that is signed with you, but it's like, so you get to take that, what we learned about our Hawaiian culture and back to him. You know, they use the leaf differently than we use them over here. Same like the taro. So he said, hey, maybe they would like that, you know, the poi, this and that. And you know, and the thing with him, he goes on to the country and they give people seeds to grow. So I said, you know what you do, when you go over and you pick out Hawaii, you give one hule to go plant over there. And they get something different because I was looking at it, I said, well, what you get away? He said, well, it's all rice we plant. I said, you tell your father, give you one row for you taro over here. And then you get them all already, it's like, you know, they do stuff like that over there.
Mike, I got a question. There's a lot of fruit flies come around in my Xanthosoma or my alocasia flowers. Could they possibly help, or is it too big to handle the colocasia as far as pollinating?
Oh, I don't think they pollinate taro here.
No, in fact,
But so alocasia and same. It's not the same insect, the same family of insects. The fruit flies, the small fruit flies, but not the big ones.
because I got a Xanthosoma when she goes off,
Yeah.
I think it's covered with
Yeah,
the fruit flies.
so maybe they pollinate. I don't know. Does that set seed for you? Does it set seed?
I've never looked, but I was thinking, because you say fruit fly, and I'm like, oh, I wonder.
I kind of find really one variety too. Certain places like just full. In one variety that you can't really see a flower, you know. And one covered. Yeah, just covered in only that variety. Or some might have one or two, some nothing. But there's certain flower, there's certain plant, 2016 should just full. But I'm very good at attracting whatever the fruit fly like. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you should just come full with that.
I know the Zuiki too, it really brings in the fruit flies.
Well, we ran up over there, they're the fruit fly people, so I guess I walk bandits or fruit fly, but this one variety always. And when you get the fruit fly, that's when I breed that. It tells me that right there. So I kind of look for that after, but you know, it's more so that one variety more than others.
You have any documentation on the, let's see, the P1 to P20? We have a lot of Palauans out there. Now, when they talk about P6 and P7, are they referring to the original Palauan variety that comes in, or are they talking about John's crosses?
No, P6, P1, P whatever.
That's
those
the
are all
original.
That's the early one they said.
So the team came, Palau is 1 to 20,
Yeah.
and they have different names.
Yes, we've got the names except for one, but now I'm trying to relate the documentation. The Kohina, the Ihimawai, the Pico,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So that's what's one of our bigger problems now.
Yeah, so this is the slide, this is the names I know. I don't know the rest of the names.
Yeah. I've got the list, and I think we got them on that Kalo cultivars of Hawaii and.
There's some also from Papua New Guinea that is resistant that we use.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is, as far as the Palau, you can see the parents, but this one we cannot, we don't know what the parent is like.
Oh,
We
we
see
have
what
it.
happens. So usually in the crosses that we do, I like to keep the parents around so you just can see, you know.
Yeah.
And always plan right after the horse so we know what we're going towards.
Not only is, how far back do you have the documentation for those? You know, there's 99, there's 105, 108. You know, when we used to do the taste tests and with
A
Susan.
lot of the varieties, we disregarded.
That,
A lot of the crosses, we did away with.
yeah, but what
There's certain ones that we
what
get.
I'm interested in is the parents, because those classes are out and they're coming to our workshops, like, which one is this?
Yeah. So as far as activities, as far as the crosses that is out there, prior to this breeding program we're doing now, people would come to the taste test and Jerry, and they used to put out the woolies and just take what you like, whether it's good or bad. So that's the reason why there's a stipulation that I made when I was going to cross that did not happen. So that this right now happening, we are dying, trying to ID these plants, if you don't know, will not happen. You see. So, but now, because there's so much out there already, even my friend, you go look at this. I know it's a hybrid, but what hybrid?
Yeah.
You know, and there was kind of plenty that went out there already, so that's when we kind of like cut that, and just hopefully a lot of that just disappears, but a lot of them is surfacing, and when they bring them to you,
Oh, yeah.
you don't know. So, like the 99.6, some of that we know the parents, but then as far as what the structure look up, what the thing look like, they're equally, if you show up, we don't know. And then another thing is a hybrid again, so it's going to show some of the Hawaiian characteristics as well as the South Pacific. So a lot of the process is not only with Palauans, it's done with the South Pacific ones too. The original ones was with the Palauans first, and then when Dr. Cho came about, he did it with some from Papua New Guinea, he did it with some from Micronesia, and some from Rhoda and stuff. So they give different resources of resistance. So that's why you get a hard time all these people bringing that. So we're trying to stop that. So that the new varieties that are going out, you know, hopefully get this new variety. We will know what the parents look like and what they came from as well as genetic markings. So the thing with that out there, you can tell, hey, this is what it is. That's what we like to know and keep.
How much data do you have archived on all the crosses?
How much?
So your program you have from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything from Cho and Trujillo and Ramon?
No. So like with Ramon, when Ramon was doing these crosses, we didn't have the Palauans yet.
No.
Yeah, so we did a lot of
Later.
later he got some from even Philippines and stuff like that. So Ramon started these crosses with more Hawaiians yet. And then when Dr. Cho went out, and Trujillo used a lot of the P varieties,
Right.
the Palauans, yes, Trujillo's crosses. And then Dr. Cho went out and he got these other varieties for the South Pacific. So when Dr. Cho left off is where I started. So what I did is I used the original crosses that I had and a lot of what Cho stuff. So the 25s which we call, which is one of the better crosses, we have a lot of resistance. Actually, there's two parents for Dr. Cho's crosses, but we know what the parents are. You know, but as far as visual, we don't know. So that's why what I was trying to do was trying to get them, to get their parents, so we know what look like. All the parents, yeah.
Yeah, do you have the numbers with their parents' name from before your time?
I did some of Cho's stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
Cho's stuff. But as far as visual, what look like, we know what look
No.
like. But a lot of them is in tissue culture, see, in a specific lab. It's just getting them from there. And the thing is I'm working with them because it's like, I'm not gonna give you guys because you guys don't give you, you're not giving me nothing. You know, stuff like that. You know, great things, but they do have the original parents there. But for me, I like to see it, you know.
I'd like to make that connection because for us, we're even looking to go down south just to see their original plans because here we don't have the documentation.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we can go into the country and photograph it, showing all the characteristics, when we bring it home, we can get, because we try to do it with the Samoan varieties, but our sources went down. Most of their taro they grow all hybrids. They don't have the ma'afala, they don't have the, you know, all of the new ways like that, they're gone. So to have a place where you say you have the tissue culture, I would definitely
And
interested.
they make it easier too when you try to do your crossing instead of trying to think this and that. I just look, hey, this one. So what I had to do was I had to take one that I thought was resistant and bring them to, this other one. And then, oh yeah, this and this one. Take this other which I thought was resistant, bring them to, this other one. But if you kind of know something about it, you can save that time.
Absolutely, and one of the things I noticed in the chart you sent out was Mana Lauloa. Now, I've always had a problem with Mana Lauloa because Hawaiians are very maka'ala, they're very good observant. And when they name something, give a name, that was very important. And when the first time Jim Collier put on the screen and he said, this is, you guys know what variety this is? And I know, I said, Fa'ilele. And he said, no, this is Mana Lauloa. So I was laughing because I remember Hupuna in the audience sitting next to her, observing this slide, and she said, Kakela Mana Lauloa. The leaf is not Lauloa. You know, so that kind of, started to get to me. So when I see yours, it's separated from the Aramana, a little separate. That kind of made me interested in that.
And even the chart that he did, when he's asking, Mike gave me a chart, and Mike never know, read about all the Hawaiian varieties, yeah. So he gave me a chart, a chart. And when you look at the chart, all of the groups kind of fall into place. Most of them, you see the manas, you see the picos, kind of closely over there with the kind of except few.
And what is really interesting for me is the manas there. There's two separation. The mana okoa, keokeo, lauloa, and and then the other ones, the opelu, ulu, uliuli. They're separated. But if you look at it morphologically, the bottom one, the keokeo, has the round leaf, and the uliuli has a sagittate leaf. So that immediately caught my eye when I saw that. I thought it was interesting. Now I also realized that Manakea Martha, some of the Samoan ones, had the 4 eyes, on a Kalo. You want to get one, and these guys come in with 4. Mana Lauloa also has that. So that's an interesting, now it's all so hui Kalo that, hey, you might also have Samoan blood too, Kalos.
But that's the thing, the one we get is like,
You know what I forgot to mention too, right? So then, with the DNA, we can identify all this. So you bring us some tissue, we can identify what variety, but it would cost, it'd be like $300 to do it right now.
Just one analysis.
So right now, we were able to do this, but like to analyze pieces of tissue, it's expensive still. So I don't know, the price might come down, or we're trying to work out a way to just use some small number of markers to identify them all, but right now we cannot. It's kind of limited.
Well, I think one thing people have to realize that Golden 84 also had South Pacific varieties in there.
Yeah, there's one called Tahitian.
And it is at the time, from a splitter to a lumper type operation.
Yeah.
So they lump stuff in various families that may not quite fit. And so if you go back to, well, the guy that finished that bulletin was probably Bowers and Takahashi, because Whitney died early on in the system there. But they took all the cultures brought from the South Pacific as well as what they could get from Hawaii and planted them all out in dryland taro. So basically, some of this lumping might have occurred there where they brought in the South Pacific ones and gave them Hawaiian name.
Yeah.
And I think Bowers would be the one that was most involved in the Hawaiian names.
Still looking forward to your summary of cultivar separation in your work.
It's still can't figure it out. Look at that.
I got a question for you. The Iliwao and the Bunlong, it's very, say, closely related. And Terry, when you were in Hana, what, 2 festivals ago, you were saying all the wild taro that was out there. You mentioned something about wild taro growing in Kaikaku. And that's what I grew up on that, just the taro and the lao. But, it's Iliwao, right?
Not necessarily.
There's some Alveville in there too,
Right.
wild taro.
Yeah,
So-
we have many wild taros brought in. The most famous was Alville or Alvilleville. It had runners, and they said they took it and domesticated it, and in a couple generations it turned to Haukel or Hakel. That is the most famous one. Then we have, of course, Kaikoi. That's the only kai variety that has runners. Today, there's about like 4 or 5 Alvilleville, and it's only because a lot of the one they bring in has gone wild, and we have people taking them up into the mountains and growing.
So I think it's almost safe to say because a lot of Chinese came over and they brought their taro back in the old days.
Absolutely.
So maybe that Iliwao could have.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it did.
In Bulletin 84, one of the names for Iliwao is.
Yeah,
Very, oh,
it's the
wow.
second name to it.
Mine grew up to 22 pounds.
Yeah,
Even the way the corn forms though, does not look Hawaiian.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
The
really.
Kohina
really
even
above.
already,
The makas and the kohina are all perfectly lined up too.
yeah. So we know it's different, and of course yours will show you things separated. And as far as the Bunlong, we really never see the thing flower. The thing will flower naturally, the Bunlong flower. And we try to use that to cross to make, because it's a good long leaf, this and that. Also we have a lot of good, excellent Hawaiian varieties.
And mine is rubbing stems with Iliwao, and my long leaves getting that big, so.
And the thing is, one time Ramon was able to make the Bunlong flower. That's the first time I see that. One of my original crosses was that, not the Hawaiian.
The issue behind that is that Jill, what's Jill's last name? Anyway, she used 2,4-D to induce flowering. And that's basically how one got it.
I know he's the guy, but they tried to do it, and it was like,
Like,
never again. We saw it, we never did silk flowering with a GA.
There's a lot of alternative methods to get your Kalo to flower as well, for those of you who want to start cross breeding.
A lot of taro Hawaiian varieties flower.
Yeah.
Stress-induced flowering, if you keep planting the same mapu, you can see it start to flower more.
Yeah. First story about flowering for us was my never gave huli from the makua. because it was considered very stingy. A makua was marked when they harvest and put on the side later, they were segregated. And the reason why is the makua wasn't the primary huli to kanu. The primary was the oha. Oha at all, because the first thing you put a makua into the ground is the DNA of that kalo when you say, okay, I gave my life. So the first thing you're going to do is going to put flowers, come out. So you're losing all that energy for corn development. It's going to go into your flowers, taken away. So when you use the oha, it hasn't reached that stage yet. So all of the food and energy goes into developing that. Second is when you have overabundant fertilizer, down hika, when Kauai had his loi, every pue mound in his loi had flowered. And we had, what is his name? The dean, Wayne Nishijima was there, and I said, I want you to come and look underneath. Every mound in his whole loi was flowering, and that is because he was taking the water from his duck pond. And so you have abundant food. Now you stretch the taro and you don't feed them, they're going to die. The sugar, recuperate. So she's going to throw runners, she's going to force rhizomes come out. Even in Kalo, they normally don't have it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have flowers even can be on the oha, because it's a life thing. It's just like the Serengetis, when the rain come in and all the plants come up and the flowers, the wildebeest go crazy, they get a lot of food. Same thing here with the taro. So there's about 5 different ways you can make the taro flower. I know my